Billionaire finds a little girl sleeping in the trash with his dog. What he did next changed her life. What if everything you thought mattered in life turned out to be nothing at all? Marcus Brennan had spent 30 years building an empire, collecting properties and profits like trophies on a shelf. His penthouse overlooked the city, but he'd stopped seeing the people below years ago. They were just numbers, transactions, obstacles to navigate. His wife had left him 5 years back, taking their daughter with her. "You love money more than us," she'd said. He hadn't argued. Tonight, walking home from another late board meeting, Marcus took a shortcut through an alley he'd normally avoid. The November cold bit through his expensive coat. That's when he heard it, a soft whimper, almost human, coming from behind a dumpster. He stopped. Something made him look. What he found there would crack open the fortress he'd built around his heart. "Where are you watching from tonight?" Marcus stepped closer, his polished shoes crunching on broken glass. The whimpering grew louder. He pulled out his phone, turning on the flashlight, and that's when he saw them. A little girl, no more than 7 or 8, was curled up in a nest of cardboard boxes, shivering in a thin pink jacket. But that wasn't what made Marcus's breath catch in his throat. Pressed against her chest, keeping her warm, was a golden retriever. His golden retriever, Bailey, who'd run away from his apartment 3 weeks ago. "Bailey," Marcus whispered. The dog's tail thumped weakly against the cardboard. The girl's eyes opened, dark and enormous in her pale face. She didn't scream or run. She just looked at him with the kind of weariness no child should know. "Please don't take him," she said, her voice barely audible. "He's keeping me warm." Marcus crouched down, his expensive suit forgotten. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Luna." She pulled the dog closer. "Are you going to call the police?" The question hit him harder than it should have. Here was a child sleeping in a dumpster, and she was afraid of help. "No," he said softly, "but you can't stay here. It's freezing." "Where are your parents?" Luna's face closed off. "Don't have any. Not anymore." Marcus had built a billion-dollar company on quick decisions, but this one felt different. Every instinct screamed at him to walk away, call social services, let someone else handle it. That's what the old Marcus would have done. But Bailey, loyal, loving Bailey who'd abandoned his warm bed to stay with this child, was looking at him with something that felt like judgment. "Okay," Marcus heard himself say. "Let's go. Both of you." Luna's eyes widened. "Where?" "Somewhere warm. With food." He started to reach for her, then stopped. "I'm not going to hurt you. I promise. Bailey trusts me. Don't you, boy?" The dog licked Luna's face, then Marcus's hand. Slowly, painfully, Luna stood up. She was so thin that Marcus could see the outline of her bones through her jacket. She'd stuffed newspaper under her clothes for insulation. A plastic bag next to her contained her possessions, a worn stuffed rabbit, some crackers, and a photograph so creased it was nearly white. They walked the 3 blocks to Marcus's building in silence. The doorman, Stephen, did a double-take when he saw them. "Mr. Brennan? Is everything?" "Everything's fine, Stephen," Marcus interrupted. He didn't want to explain. Didn't know how to explain. In the elevator, Luna kept one hand on Bailey's collar, ready to run. Marcus noticed dirt under her fingernails, a bruise fading on her cheek. How long had she been out there? Days? Weeks? His penthouse felt obscenely large as they stepped inside. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased the glittering city. Luna stood frozen in the doorway, overwhelmed. Bailey trotted straight to his water bowl, drinking deeply. "Are you hungry?" Marcus asked. Luna nodded, still not moving. He ordered soup and sandwiches from the 24-hour deli downstairs. While they waited, he found an old sweatshirt from college, soft and clean, and showed Luna to the guest bathroom. "You can wash up if you want. Take your time." She clutched the sweatshirt like it might disappear. "Why are you being nice to me?" The question stopped him cold. When had kindness become something that needed explanation? Because you need help, he said simply.
Wow,
And
really?
because Bailey chose you. That dog has excellent judgment. For the first time, the smallest smile touched Luna's lips. Then she disappeared into the bathroom, and Marcus stood alone in his empty palace, wondering what he'd just done. Over the next 3 days, Luna barely spoke.
Mr.
She ate the
Harrison,
meals Marcus prepared,
court has
slept in the
reached
guest room with Bailey curled
temporary
beside
decision.
her, but she watched everything with those careful, guarded eyes.
Given the
Marcus
evidence of a
canceled
strong
2
bond,
board
I am
meetings.
granting the placement.
He couldn't remember the last time he'd done that. On the 4th morning, he found her staring at his daughter's old room, the one his ex-wife had cleared out years ago, leaving it empty except for some forgotten toys in the closet. Luna was holding a snow globe, turning it slowly, watching the artificial snow fall over a tiny cottage. My mom had one like this, she said quietly. Before. Marcus sat down on the floor beside her, something he hadn't done in decades. Before what? The story came out in pieces, like shards of broken glass. Luna's mother, Isabel, had been a nurse. They'd lived in a small apartment in Queens. Then Isabel got sick. Cancer, the kind that moved fast. No insurance. The bills piled up. After she died 6 months ago, Luna had nowhere to go. Her grandmother was too old, too sick herself. Foster care felt like prison. So Luna ran. I lived in different places, she said, her voice matter-of-fact in the way children learn when they've had to grow up too fast. Subway stations when it's cold. The park in summer. Then I found the alley. It was quiet. Nobody bothered me there. She looked at Bailey. Until he showed up. He was skinny and scared. I shared my food with him. Then he started sharing his warmth with me. Marcus felt something crack inside his chest. This child had been surviving on streets he drove past every day in his town car, invisible to him and everyone like him. You're not going back there, he said firmly. You can't keep me. Luna's voice was gentle, like she was explaining something to someone who didn't understand. I'm nobody's. The system doesn't want kids like me. Too old, too broken. And you're a rich man. Rich people don't keep broken things. The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. Is that what he'd become? Someone who discarded anything imperfect? Luna, he said carefully. What if you stayed here? What if I... He stopped. What was he suggesting? He worked 18-hour days. He hadn't been a father to his own daughter. How could he possibly? You mean like foster care? Luna asked. Maybe. Or maybe something more permanent. I'd need to talk to lawyers, figure out the legal stuff. But if you wanted... He trailed off, terrified by the hope flickering in her eyes. Before Luna could respond, his phone rang. His assistant, Diane. Marcus, where have you been? The Shanghai deal is falling apart. They need you on a call in 20 minutes. This is a $200 million contract. He looked at Luna, still holding that snow globe like it was the only beautiful thing in the world. Tell them I'll call tomorrow, he said, and hung up. Luna's eyes went wide. Was that important? No, Marcus said, surprised to find he meant it. Not as important as this. If this moment touched your heart, please give this story a thumbs up. He smiled at her. You're important, Luna. You matter. But even as he said it, his phone erupted with calls and texts. His entire executive team was trying to reach him. And somewhere in that chaos, Marcus didn't see Luna's expression change. Didn't see the fear creeping back into her eyes as she realized she was becoming a burden. By morning, everything had changed. Marcus woke to find Luna's room empty, the bed neatly made, his college sweatshirt folded on the pillow. Bailey sat by the door, whining. On the kitchen counter was a note in careful child's handwriting. Thank you for being nice. I don't want to ruin your life. Take care of Bailey. Luna. Panic seized Marcus in a way no business crisis ever had. He called the building security. Nobody had seen her leave. She'd probably taken the service elevator, slipped out the loading dock. Smart kid. Street smart kid. The kind of smart you learned when survival depended on invisibility. He spent the day searching. The alley where he'd found her was empty. He checked parks, subway stations, shelters. Nothing. His phone kept ringing. Angry board members, worried investors, his ex-wife calling about their daughter's college graduation that he'd apparently forgotten. Again. "You never change, Marcus," Jennifer said when he finally answered. "Always too busy for the people who need you." "I'm looking for someone," he snapped back. "Aren't we all?" she said tiredly and hung up. By evening, Marcus was exhausted and desperate. He stood in Luna's empty room, Bailey pressed against his leg, and realized he was grieving. For a child he'd known less than a week. A child who'd somehow shown him everything wrong with the life he'd built. His phone rang again. Unknown number. "Mr. Brennan? This is Detective Sarah Chen with the NYPD. We have a girl here who says you know her." Luna Morrison. Relief and terror flooded through him in equal measure. "Is she okay? Where is she?" "Precinct 12. She's not in trouble. She was spotted by a patrol officer near Port Authority. She mentioned your name, so we looked you up." A pause. "She was trying to leave the city. Says she doesn't want to be a burden." "Mr. Brennan, what exactly is your relationship with this child?" The question hung there, loaded with implications. Marcus could hear years of social services protocol, child welfare investigations, skepticism toward wealthy men who suddenly took interest in homeless girls. "I found her 4 days ago," he said carefully. "She had my dog. She was living on the street. I brought her home, gave her a place to stay. I was planning to do this properly. Contact lawyers, go through official channels. I want to help her. That's all." Another pause. "Why don't you come down here, Mr. Brennan? Let's talk about what help looks like." At the precinct, Luna sat on a hard plastic chair, looking impossibly small. When she saw Marcus, something in her face crumbled. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean to get you in trouble." Detective Chen watched them both with sharp, assessing eyes. "Luna's been telling us about her situation. No legal guardian, no permanent address. Mr. Brennan, you understand we can't just release her to you. She needs to go into the system." "No." Luna's voice was quiet but firm. "Please. I'll run again. I always run." Marcus knelt beside her chair. "What if you didn't have to run? What if there was a place where you belonged?" "There isn't," Luna said, and the defeat in her voice was heartbreaking. "There never is. My mom used to say that people like us, we're dandelions. We grow in the cracks. Nobody plants us on purpose." Something clicked in Marcus's mind, a memory of his own mother, before the money, when they'd lived in a tiny apartment and she'd struggled to keep food on the table. "Do you know what happens to dandelions?" he asked gently. "They're survivors. They spread everywhere. They're actually one of the strongest flowers there are. Your mom was right, Luna. You're a dandelion. But even dandelions need soil." Detective Chen cleared her throat. "This is all very touching, but legally—" "I want to foster her," Marcus interrupted. "Formally. Whatever it takes. I'll hire the best family lawyers, go through every background check, every home study. I'll do it right." He looked at Luna. "If that's what you want." Luna's eyes filled with tears. "Have you ever had to be strong when you were scared?" she asked, her voice breaking. "Have you ever felt like that?" The question pierced him. "Yes," Marcus said honestly. "I have. And I've faced it alone. But you don't have to. Not anymore. Have you ever felt this way? Share your thoughts in the comments below." Detective Chen sighed, but something in her expression softened. "This is going to be complicated, Mr. Brennan. Child Services will investigate. There will be interviews, evaluations. This isn't just about money or good intentions. I understand, Marcus said. I'm ready. Luna reached out, her small hand finding his. Okay, she whispered. Okay. The next 6 weeks were the hardest of Marcus's life, and the best. Social workers came to his home, asking questions that felt invasive but necessary. They interviewed his ex-wife, his business partners, even his doorman. Every aspect of his life was examined under a microscope. Jennifer surprised him by being supportive. You were a terrible husband, she told him bluntly during her interview. But you're not a bad person, Marcus. Just lost. Maybe this kid found you for a reason. Luna lived in temporary foster care during the investigation, supervised visits only. Marcus showed up to every single one, no matter what meeting he had to cancel. He learned to braid hair from YouTube videos. He discovered she loved strawberry pancakes and old movies. She taught him to play gin rummy and told him terrible jokes that made him laugh anyway. His daughter, Melissa, came home from college to meet Luna. Marcus held his breath, terrified of her reaction. But Melissa sat down on the floor with Luna and Bailey and said, "So you're the girl who made my dad remember he has a heart. Want to see embarrassing photos of him from the 80s? The climax came on a gray Tuesday afternoon. Marcus sat in a small office across from Judge Patricia Thornton, Luna beside him, their hands clasped together. 6 weeks of documentation, background checks, psychological evaluations, and home studies came down to this moment. Judge Thornton reviewed the file, her expression unreadable. She looked at Luna. Do you understand what foster care means? It's not adoption yet. You'd live with Mr. Brennan, but there would be rules, check-ins, conditions. I understand, Luna said steadily. I know he might change his mind. I know it might not work. But I want to try. The judge turned to Marcus. Mr. Brennan, your business record is impeccable. Your personal record with your family is less so. You missed birthdays, anniversaries, graduations. Your ex-wife described you as emotionally unavailable. Your daughter said she barely knew you growing up. What makes you think you can do better with Luna? Marcus felt the weight of every mistake he'd ever made. I can't promise to be perfect, he said quietly. But I can promise to be present. I've spent 30 years chasing things that don't matter. Success without purpose. Wealth without warmth. Luna reminded me what it means to actually care about another human being more than a profit margin. I can't give her back the childhood she lost, but I can give her a future. And I can promise I'll show up for it. Judge Thornton was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled. Foster care is approved. 6-month review to follow. Luna Morrison, you're being placed in the care of Marcus Brennan. She looked at them both. Don't make me regret this. Luna burst into tears. Marcus pulled her into a hug, this tiny warrior who'd survived on streets and in shadows, and felt his own eyes burning. Bailey, who'd somehow been allowed into the courthouse, pushed between them, tail wagging frantically. Thank you, Luna whispered against his shoulder. Thank you for finding me. No, Marcus said, his voice rough. Thank you for letting me find you. As they left the courthouse, Luna's hand in his, Marcus thought about all the nights he'd worked late, all the moments he'd missed, all the years he'd spent building an empire that meant nothing. And he thought about one little girl sleeping in a dumpster with his dog, changing everything. If you've been moved by this story, please subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming tales like this one. 6 months later, Marcus stood in what had once been his daughter's empty room. Now it was filled with life, Luna's drawings taped to the walls, her books stacked on newly built shelves, a collection of snow globes arranged on the dresser. He'd bought her one every week, watching her face light up each time. Small moments. That's what mattered now. The 6-month review had gone smoothly. Luna had enrolled in school, made friends, even joined the art club. Her teachers said she was gifted, especially with painting. She'd created a piece for the school show, a golden retriever keeping watch over a small figure in the darkness, with a beam of light breaking through. She titled it Found. Marcus had changed too, in ways he couldn't have imagined. He'd stepped back from day-to-day operations, appointed a new CEO, restructured his life around what actually mattered. Tuesday nights were for homework help. Weekends were for parks and movies and teaching Luna to ride a bike. He'd missed those moments with Melissa, but he wouldn't miss them with Luna. His relationship with his own daughter had healed too. Melissa came home often now, claiming she wanted to visit her little sister. The three of them, plus Bailey, had become an unconventional family, but it worked. Jennifer had even joined them for Thanksgiving, joking that Marcus finally learned how to show up when it mattered. Today was Luna's 9th birthday, the first one she'd celebrate in a real home. The apartment was full of her school friends, their laughter echoing off walls that had been silent for too long. Marcus watched Luna blow out candles on a strawberry cake, her face bright with joy, and remembered the terrified child he'd found 6 months ago. Later, after the party, they sat together on the balcony, Bailey's head in Luna's lap. The city stretched out below them, millions of lights in the darkness. "Do you ever think about that night?" Luna asked quietly. "When you found me." "Every day," Marcus admitted. "Me too." She was quiet for a moment. "I used to think I was invisible, like people looked right through me. You were the first person who actually saw me." Marcus's throat tightened. "You saved me too, you know. I was invisible in my own way. Invisible to everything that mattered." Luna leaned against his shoulder. "Do you think my mom would be happy that I'm here?" "I think," Marcus said carefully, "that your mom is wherever mothers go when they watch over their children. And I think she's grateful that you found someone who loves you. Not as much as she did. Nobody could. But close. And you're grateful you got Bailey back," Luna teased. Marcus laughed. "That too. Though between you and me, I think Bailey knew exactly what he was doing when he ran away. He's a smart dog." Bailey's tail thumped in agreement. The adoption papers would be final in 3 months. Marcus had already started the process, with Luna's eager blessing. Soon, she wouldn't be Luna Morrison, temporary foster child. She'd be Luna Brennan, daughter, family. What if everything you thought mattered turned out to be nothing at all? Marcus had asked himself that question 6 months ago. Now he knew the answer. Everything he'd thought mattered, money, success, power, was nothing. And everything he'd thought was nothing, kindness, presence, love, was everything. A little girl sleeping in a dumpster with his dog had taught him the most important lesson of his life, that we're all just one moment away from finding what we've been missing. We just have to be willing to look. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe for more heartwarming stories that remind us what truly matters. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Your time and attention mean everything. Until next time, remember, sometimes the best things in life find us when we least expect them, in the places we'd never think to look.